Male. And before I introduce him, I'm just gonna say that there's some housekeeping stuff like you guys know, everybody's muted. The video should be turned off. So that we have people from all across the globe who are going to participate in this, and so we want to limit the impact on technology. So please turn off your videos if you're not turned off already. If not, I'll turn it off myself. Also, there's the chat box there that you can use to ask questions as Dr. Molly presents. And if you need to raise your hand to speak, there's also the icon that you can choose to use, or just type in your question or comments. The same thing for those on YouTube. We'll read out your questions at the I think the last 20 minutes we'll take questions. So without further ado, I'm glad you're here, Charles. Thank you so much. Dr. Molly is an attorney. We say attorney here. He's an attorney, is a security consultant, is a trainer, is a strategist to businesses and governments across Europe, Middle East, and Africa, and all over the continent. Anyway, the universe actually. Also, he's a constitutional law scholar. He brings together an excellent academic and research pedigree and practical industry experience in a compelling proposition. He is a global expert in law enforcement, jurisprudence, and organizational transformation. He has written several books on finance, and he is the one person to talk to us about this. And I'm glad that you're here today. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you.
So you're going to talk to us today about, how to create wealth doing just regular stuff, right?
Yes. Well, I mean, first thing I would like to say is, yes, we're going to share some information tonight, but people need to realize that if being wealthy is that easy, everybody will be. So a lot of a lot of this is about people just learning to improve the level they are operating at. The first thing I want to say, first of all, is a major tool that many nations of the world use whenever they are in difficulties, such as COVID or even the financial crisis, is they always want to stimulate consumer spending. And the key tool most of them use is they lower the interest rate. Interest rate become almost zero. The reason is because they are trying to tell you, if you save your money, it won't fetch you anything. So you better just spend it. So spending is what they are trying to promote, and consumer spending helps to grow the economy, helps to keep the economy going. But the challenge is, where will the consumer get the money from to start with? And if your money can't grow through the normal interest, that you get from investing it, how can your money grow? So what I put down together here is some steps doing what I call seemingly banal day-to-day things. You can help to increase your financial situation. One thing is quite clear. If you're a business, for example, and you want to make more money, there are usually two ways you do it. Either you increase your turnover or you reduce your expenditure, your spending. Mm-hmm. So increasing your turnover technically is not really in your hand because you are not the consumer that will buy your product. But the other one is in your hand, which is cutting your own spending. And part of what we're going to look at here is different things, including how cutting your own spending can, help to promote your financial well-being. So to make it clear for those of you taking notes, I've divided this into 6 different topical areas, and I'm going to mention some points under each of them. But because of time, I may not dwell on each point for as long as I want to, but please feel free to ask questions because your question might remind me of something I should have said. I did that I wouldn't say. Now, the first is housekeeping. That's the first, Eden, housekeeping. And under that, I have 5 key points. And that simply means, number 1, understand your relationship with money. Understand your money attitude. It's very, very important for you to understand that, because understanding your relationship with money helps you to take control. For example, are you an impulsive buyer? Are you the type of person that if you see something, you have to buy it immediately?
Yes.
If you understand, for example, that that's your problem, that you have that, then what you need to do is introduce what I call a 24 or 48-hour rule, which is whenever you see something and you feel like buying it, tell yourself, I'll come back in 48 hours. If in 48 hours you still have that urge, then you may consider buying it. But in many cases, in 48 hours, you'll have moved on to other things. So you've got to understand what is your own relationship with money. You've got to understand that. And also, understanding your relationship with money also has to do with your subconscious. By that, I mean, some people will verbally say, oh, they want money. But their subconscious belief is that too much money is bad. So there's a conflict there. So you need to understand your relationship with money. But I'm sure, Dr. you can speak more about the subconscious.
I know that you're talking about subconscious. So
now, so the first one, understand your relationship. But number 2, create a budget. You cannot improve what you don't assess. Create a budget. A lot of people don't know how much to spend on a weekly, monthly basis. Write it down. Create a budget. It's absolutely important. That will give you visibility of what to spend money on. The $10 here, $5 there might not be important, but when you create a budget, you actually find that comes to $200 a month. Suddenly you realize that, maybe I shouldn't be spending money there. But create a budget. It's very, very important that you live within a budget. Number 3, the third thing you need to do, we're talking about housekeeping here, keep proper records. Keep proper records. In other words, monitor what you spend. Monitor what you spend. Keep proper records. So you've got to, if I ask some of you now, okay, how much have you spent? Well, maybe actually this is not the right time to ask the question. Everybody's practically on lockdown. So, but under normal circumstance where you'll have been out every day, you might not be able to recollect how much you spent this week so far. Keep proper record. It's very important. Now, number 4, know your total liabilities. Know your total liabilities. Know your total liabilities. So in that word, how much do you owe? You need to understand. You need to know that. Don't just have a rough idea. Sometimes when I speak to people, say, I have a rough. No, I don't want a rough idea. How much do you owe? You've got to understand that, and I think that is absolutely key. Know your total liabilities. And number 5, write down your financial goals. Write down your financial goals. Those are what I call housekeeping, as in prep that you need to do generally to be healthy, financially. Now, the second category is what I call managing your outgoings. The first heading was housekeeping. The second one I'm on to now says managing your outgoing. How do you manage your outgoing? Number 1, you've got to eliminate unnecessary waste from your spending. You've got to eliminate unnecessary waste from your spending. Now, given the fact that people are watching from all over the world, and some of these examples I'm giving may apply or may not apply to your own particular situation. But for those who live in the West, they will understand, some of the examples I'm about to give here in terms of wasteful spending. Examples are, parking tickets. Late payment, late payment penalties. Fines. Those are the kind of things that I know somebody, because for example, here in London, the parking ticket can easily cost you £100. By the way, this is a parking that you could have paid £2 to park properly, legitimately. But because people feel, I don't want to pay that £2, you end up being penny wise, pound foolish. So, but by the time you pay 2 parking tickets a month, that's £200 a month. How much is that in a year? So you end up paying. So there's so many seemingly, little things we do every day, that attract extra. You have a particular financial arrangement. If you call them before the end of the month to say, look, I cannot make it the payment this month, they will work with you to try and waive it for that month or come to some form of arrangement. But if you don't call them, they will put a penalty charge on you. Before you know it, the £100 you are owing is now £120. So you've got to, do what you can to eliminate what I call, waste from your expenditure. Number 2 under this particular, group is, I said, utilize insurance sensibly. Utilize insurance sensibly. You see, one of the things, sometimes when I advise people, who come to me when they say they have financial challenges and we are going through okay, tell me what you spend your money on. I'm shocked at some of the things I see. I've seen people who have house building and contents insurance, who also now took out insurance on every appliance they bought at home. When they bought the TV, they took out insurance on it. When they bought, a refrigerator, they took out insurance. Everything, and I'm asking myself, I said, they have all kinds of triplicate insurance to cover, the same thing is covered 3 times. Whereas using insurance sensibly could mean, you have just one main policy. For example, your building and contents insurance, for example, can insure your items, like your phones, your laptop, even outside the house. So you don't need to take out insurance policy on those items individually. Otherwise, you end up having 6, 7, 8 policies where one policy could have done the job. So that, again, is one of the things we do similarly, ordinarily, and before you know it, it all adds up to money leaving our pocket. Number 3 under this particular heading is, I said, buy creatively and sensibly. Buy creatively and sensibly. Now, by this I mean learn to use offers and coupons. Trying to use discounts. I don't know what they call it in other places, vouchers, all kinds of, plan to use that. It will interest you that, Doctor, I can tell you this, for example, anytime the family, we've come to California for holiday, one of the things we do before we even leave home here is, we'll have gone, determine which shops we are buying groceries from, because we tend to take a while. All their vouchers, those who are the electronic one, I have it, the printed one, I printed everything. So as we are landing like this, every shopping is voucher. I've given my wife the credit for that. She's a voucher queen. I never had time for that, but when I saw it, I was saving money. Believe me, I wised up very quickly. So using vouchers, discounts, knowing, sensibly. For example, there's a particular shop in London that I buy my shoes from. They tend to have sale only once a year. So I'll make sure I save up. That once a year, they could be 50% off or 70% off. I'll go and buy 8 pairs or whatever. That's me done for the year. Rather than buying the shoe staggered through the year at full prices. So all I'm trying to say is, buy creatively and sensibly. Another way of buying creatively and sensibly is buying in bulk, if you have the space in your house. Rather than buying, 1 or 2 of items, buy, shops like Costco. If you have it in your country, they sell things in bulk. That saves you the petrol. But more importantly, it's cheaper. So buy creatively. The whole idea of this session is to say, what are the things you do every day that can save you money? That's why I'm giving all these examples. Because these are the things we all do every day. We all go shopping. So so utilize. I say, buy creatively and sensibly. Number 4, under this group, I say here, learn to reduce your taxes legally.
Did you say legally?
Yes. I have to add that, learn to reduce your taxes legally. You see, claim all your deductibles. Use, the rules are there. Somebody say, well, it's not good to explore the loopholes. Listen to me. The government know the loophole exists. So they're not ignorant of it. If they want to close the loophole, they will close it in one day. But they're refusing to. So why should I therefore not use the loophole?
That's good.
For example, in the United Kingdom, one of the richest men in the UK paid the least tax. I think when it was published, was this 2 years ago? The guy is a billionaire. They say his taxes for the year is less than £10,000.
Oh yeah.
What does he do? He uses the loophole. He went to establish. His wife on paper owns all the assets. So they went to create a home in Monaco. And the rule in the UK says, if you don't stay in the UK for more than 90 days a year, you are not supposed to pay UK taxes. So it runs everything from there and comes in once a week or something. And it's doing it legit, and government knows about it, but they're letting the loophole be. Now, somebody said, some people will try to bring morality into this. No, don't bring morality into this. This is the law. He's paying the taxes he's supposed to pay. So all I'm simply saying is, use, all the available deductibles.
Well, if it's the law, it cannot be a moral concern. That has to be another type of issue.
I understand that, because some people have this morality that you're supposed to pay the biggest tax possible.
Oh, okay.
That's what I meant. But the law says this is what the law says, and you're obeying the law. So learn to reduce your taxes legally. Is what I'm trying to say. And for those of you who have businesses, there are plenty of opportunities to do that in all countries. I mean, for example, even in Nigeria, because let me speak to Nigeria, because I know some people are watching here from Nigeria. Mm-hmm. The Nigerian Export Promotion Council, for example, have a scheme called Pioneer Scheme. Under that Pioneer Scheme, if you are granted that status of being innovative, mm-hmm. you are entitled to not to pay any income tax for 3 years. And after 3 years, you can apply for another extension for 2 years. So 5 years in all, you won't pay any tax, and it's legal in Nigeria. So that's an example of what I'm trying to say, that people need to look into, legally, to find a way of reducing their outgoing. Number 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 5 under this, I think is, I said, maintain your living standard with increased income. Maintain your living standard with increased income. You see, the challenge sometimes with the way we live is that you get 50% raise at work, maybe because of promotion. Before you know it, your spending rises to that level of new income. Mm. You shouldn't do that. Whenever you get increase in income, pretend it doesn't exist and live within your original income, and then use the others for investment. That's where you grow in wealth. So it's important that when you are earning this, you used to bring your own coffee from home. Suddenly you are now a manager. You've been given double salary. Suddenly you now have to buy Starbucks every day for $5. So that $5 you thought you couldn't afford before, but now you can afford it. But that's $5 you could be saving every day. So what tends to happen is your habit and your lifestyle changes to accommodate the increase in pay. And before you know it, even though you are earning double now, you are still poor. You are still struggling. Mm. So it's important, therefore, to keep your spending at a fixed rate, even though your income is increasing. Okay, then the third category. First of all, we looked at housekeeping. Secondly, we looked at managing your outgoing. And then the third one here is I said engage multiple streams of income. Engage multiple streams of income. You know, it's important for you to understand that very few people grow through well doing just one thing. When I come to the next subheading, you will understand this better. But all I will say under this is this: look for ways to generate income. And there's something that COVID has given all of us in big bounty. And that is what I call online. Online is a leveler. You need to understand that. When I go to your website, what I see on your website in terms of the quality of its design and content is what gives me impression about your company. Whether you're operating from your basement or from the top of Wall Street makes no difference. So you need to understand that online is a leveler. It allows you to punch above your weight, so to speak. So you need to understand that if you can package any of your gifts, your talents, you know, in ways that can generate multiple additional income for you, that's what you need to do. And online allows you to do that. Online allows you to do that. I mean, let me give you a practical example. There's this guy that I met during one of my trips to Nigeria. He told me that he said he makes, what was it? He works 9 to 5, but he said that he makes about $1,000 a month extra. Then I said, where? Then he told me. There's a website, I mean, there's several of them, but I'll give you one. There's a website called Fiverr, Fiverr. You can register there as somebody who has a creative, if you're a creative type, who have a creative talent to supply. And people go there and pay for you to do their job. You know, their designs for them. You know, and if you go to Fiverr, you see people from every country, from Bangladesh to Iraq, even Iraq, people are there. And a lot of the time, most of the designers have day work. When they come back in the evening, that's when they do the work. You know, so that's just an example. You know, there's so many other, sites out there like that showcases your talent, allows you to make more money. So generate multiple streams of income is absolutely important. Don't be tied to just one source of income. Every talent is tradable. Every talent is tradable. You need to understand that. There's no talent you cannot trade. You know, you'll be surprised, you know, at what people are willing to pay for, you know, if you package it well. So the next heading is what I call engage the two economies. Engage with the two economies. You know, to build real wealth, you must have your foot in two economies: the real economy and the financial economy. The real economy is your 9 to 5 job. The real economy is your manufacturing plant. The real economy is, require you to physically be there for you to work. The financial economy, on the other hand, makes money for you while you are asleep. The financial economy makes money while you are, doesn't require you to physically be there for you to work. So that is why financial economy is a good way to actually engage in multiple streams of income. Because if you have an investment, for example, in certain shares, you don't need to do anything. It's making money for you while you are doing nothing, so to speak. So you must have presence in both economies. Why am I saying this? Go and look at all the so-called billionaires. I mean, one of my daughters was telling me this evening that, oh, Dad, they said, is it Bezos? So how do you pronounce it? The guy who owns...
Bezos.
Bezos, yes. That they said during this COVID, he has made $24 billion during this crisis because in increasing his Amazon share value. Now, and I tell people, I say, when people say Bill Gates is the richest man in the world, he's worth 80 billion, 70 billion. I say, how many of you realize that his bank account doesn't have 70 billion? He can't write a check of 70 billion. He might just have only 100 million, if at all. He might even have less in cash in his account. What we are saying is that if you sell all his shares in Microsoft, you get 70 billion. That's what you are saying. So he's not really having it in cash in that sense. So it shows you the power of the financial economy, is what I'm saying. You know, so it's not that, you know, these people have billions and billions sitting down there. We are talking of the financial value. That's why, you know, what's the name of this guy that's always causing trouble for himself? This guy in California that...
the car guy.
Yes.
The Tesla guy.
Tesla, yes, Tesla guy, yeah. You know, he would do a tweet, and before you know it, they said, oh, it's wiped off X billion of the value of the company, you know, to show you that these things are financial products, is what I'm trying to say. So it's important for you to understand that when you say somebody is a millionaire or billionaire, it doesn't mean they have it in cash. It means they have assets that can be traded to that value. So you need to learn to engage in the two economies. So, which means, I tell people, which means you must have some presence in the financial market. Now, I don't want to, I'm not a financial advisor in the sense of telling you which product, because you vary from country to country. But you need to ask yourself, no matter how small, how can you get yourself involved in the financial market? You know, that's very, very important. The second thing under the, you know, engaging in the two economies, you also consider investing in commodities. Consider investing in commodities like gold and silver and several other commodities. The commodities have their own market. You know, that sometimes commodities hold their value much better than the stocks and shares that, you know, go up and down every 5 seconds. You know, so that again is another way of you know, increasing you know, values. I mean, I remember there's some paintings I bought. When was it? 10 years ago. You know, I bought the painting for £2,000 then. You know, when I searched there, was it December last year? That same painting now, people want to buy it for 10,000. So I say I'm not selling. You know, but I'm just giving an example how you can store value. Is what I'm trying to say. You know, through investment in commodities, and then more importantly, learn the power of compound interest for a long period of time. Learn the power of compound interest. You know, it is true that if you put, if you are because somebody might say, oh, but Dr. Charles, I'm not a risk taker. Fine. If you are in that category, how do you get involved in financial market? Then get yourself an account, a financial account, where you maybe just trade in, instead of maybe stocks and shares, you can buy government bonds or something less risky like that, you know, and be putting X amount into that account every month. If you do that for 10, 15 years, power of compound interest will do the magic for you. You will have a lot of money at the end of that. So either way, there's always something to do, is what I'm trying to say. You know, and then the fourth, the fifth group is what I call growing your assets. Growing your assets. You know, so you need to look for, okay, we are talking of similarly daily things. How do you grow? Why do you grow wealth? One of the things I find that people can do, especially for those who own their own houses, is add value to your home through minor improvements. You'll be surprised how minor improvements around your house can increase its value significantly. So that's one way for those who have, who have that. Growing your assets, look after your health. Look after your health. Because if you don't look after your health, because your body is an asset, if you don't look after your health, then all the money you make, you use it to restore your health. So it's best to make sure you live a balanced life, that you look after your health. And then the third under this, growing your assets, I put it there, and this is very important to me. Maintain a good name. Maintain a good name. You see, this is not just an African thing. It's a global thing. There are places you will go, and people will say you are the son of this, that doors will open for you. There are places you will go They say, oh, we've heard about you. You know, that doors will open for you. Maintain a good name. It might appear as though you are being stupid by trying to maintain a good name, but it always pays in the end.
Absolutely.
You know, so maintain a good name, you know, and that will mean you pay certain price to stay on the straight and narrow. And then the last group, because of a time.
Dr. Molly, can you the maintain a good name? You said pay certain prices. Can you talk about that before you move to the next one, please?
Paying certain price means you have to learn to turn your back on what looks good, but you know will besmirch your name.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maintaining a good name means you need to have the power to say no, you know, to what temporarily looks beneficial, because you know this is not the right thing to do. You know, so I mean, you can cheat somebody and make money, but then you lose a lot more in the bad name that you know that's going to ensue. And also, one thing also I want to say about good name. Good name is also a legacy you leave for your children.
Mm-hmm.
Good name is not just about you or whatever 50, 100, 200, or whatever, how long you live here on earth. Good name is about legacy. What will happen to your children? The question is asked, what will happen to your children if in future you are no longer there and they mention you as their father or their mother? Mm-hmm. How do you want people to react? To say, oh, you are the daughter of that crook. Is that what you want them to say? Or do you want them to say, oh, that's your mother? If that's your mother, whatever you want, I'll give it to you. That is good name. So good name is your legacy. So it's important that you do that. Okay, my time is almost gone. Okay, now I just have two. Well, I've actually, you prompted me to say one more because the last group I said there, I said look ahead. Mm-hmm. And under looking ahead, I said think legacy. What do you want to be remembered for? Think legacy. And to think legacy is not about big money. You know, how many millions did Mother Teresa donate? So legacy of good name and goodwill is not about having millions. You know, there are people who in a village, you know, who are known for doing certain good things, and in the entire village, they almost worship that one person because of the little he's doing. So it's not about how much you have, you know, at all. Think legacy. And then lastly, number 20, well, all my points put together, if you're Bahrain, will be 20. But I can make this 2-page, you know, thing available for you so that you can share if you want.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll send it to the people on the webinar.
That's fine. And the last one I have here is I said, make sure, under looking ahead, make sure you have a will.
Aha.
Make sure you have a will. You know, make sure you have a will and make sure you have life insurance.
Ah, thank you.
Now, somebody said, how better? What do you mean by life insurance? Is that not me? You're going to, listen, everybody dies. I mean, was it John Maynard Keynes? It was one I wrote in one of the economics books. He said, in the long run, we all die. That's true. So, you see, because I tell people, I say, because if you die now, I've talked to my male friends. I say, look, if you die now, I will come to visit your wife. And she's crying. Who knows she's crying for 2 reasons? Is that what? I said, number one, she's crying for, of course, losing your lovely face, the husband. That was the second one. I said, she's crying for all the debt you've now left her to start looking for. I said, so our crying is multiplied because you don't have life insurance. So having life insurance doesn't mean you're going to die. You know, it's important that you do that, but more importantly than that, in addition to that, is have a will. Because many people don't understand that death of those people who don't have will is one of the big money spinners for governments all over the world. If you die intestate, as we call it in law, I mean, your assets, you know, it's free loading for the government. You need to specify, you need to have a will that binds the people. And there are so many ways you can do that. in a tax efficient way, especially if you have children and you put in a trust, all that. I don't want to go into financial advice here, but have a will. It's important, that you have a will, and it's important you have life insurance. It's not, for me, those are non-negotiables, So, in all, building wealth through everyday actions, we looked at housekeeping, managing your outgoings, engage multiple streams of income, engage the two economies, the real economy and the financial economy, growing your assets, and then finally, we say, looking ahead, think legacy. I rushed over them. At some point I could have gone into, but given our time, I think we should stop there for now, and then we can take questions.
Well, first of all, thank you so much. That's a lot, and we really appreciate it. And the last two things you said were something I am very passionate about shared life insurance, because people die and then they start doing GoFundMe for them. And I'm thinking, as good as that is, and we should help people and stuff, but just a few dollars a month will get you a life insurance that would actually take care of you, of the people you've left behind, and your funeral when you die.
Absolutely.
And so that is important, and there's no reason why people shouldn't do that. So I just want to ask everyone, if you have questions, it's the time to ask those questions. I have a few for you, so I'll just go. If someone's listening from another country, let's say from an African country, and they're saying, look, everything you've said is all well and good, but I'm a teacher, for example, and I'm not getting paid. I'm a school owner, I don't have any money. How can I even do any of these things that you've said? I need to know how to get myself, out of this mess. People have been hit, and it's not just teachers. People have been hit, severely by this pandemic, and they need to know what can I do? What is the first step of actually, forget about thriving. I just want to survive. I want to just lift my
Uh-oh, you're frozen. I can't hear you again.
Yeah, I think her line is frozen. That's why you can hear. Yeah, she's back.
Dr. Molly, I think we lost you, or I don't know if it was just me who
No,
lost
I think
you.
we lost you.
No, we lost.
We lost you because I can still hear other people.
I am not surprised, because my internet is doing itself. Did you hear my question though?
I didn't hear the last part of it. So
the last part of it is, if you have been severely financially impacted during this pandemic, which several people have been, where they've lost a lot of things, they just need to know what do I do? What do I do to forget about thriving? I just want to survive.
Yeah.
What do I do to get started? What are some things that they can do?
Well, that's a good question, but the difficulty with answering that question is that it will have to be country specific.
Let's do Nigeria.
In some respect. For example, in the UK, because somebody called me yesterday with exactly that question. For example, in the UK, government have made between April and July, government brought out a law that banned any eviction. So you cannot be evicted. And then, which means, it changes the dynamics of the way you manage your finances over these next 3-4 months, for example. That's what I'm saying, can be country specific. But if you're talking about, say, a place like Nigeria, key thing is, number one, find ways to do what you do, but cheaply. Find ways of shopping cheaply. You know, I mean, I know this might not make sense, but for some people, especially those who live in the highbrow areas of Lagos, or any part of Nigeria, for example, they don't know that what they buy in their neck of the wood in Lekki, if they go to mile 12 or mile 2, they will get it for, 70% cheaper. Because people who sell it in your street bought it from mile 12. So you can go there and buy yourself. I'm just saying that look for ways of, getting what you can get cheaper. And number 2, look for how to cut out waste. Look for how to cut out waste. What do I mean? It might mean you suffer a bit of heat, for example. So if you are spending, what's it called, 10,000 naira a week on buying diesel, then you have to tell yourself, I will enjoy it during the day. I will put on the gen at night. That's half of my diesel cost gone into savings.
Okay.
So
right.
so look for ways to reduce your spending. And for example, there are ways you can prepare some of your food that doesn't require freezer. That's a way you can. I don't know. I'm not a chef, but I know that ways to do this thing. That sometimes it can last a bit longer, even if we don't have a refrigerator.
Yeah.
So find ways to cut that. Thank you. It will last longer. Like I told somebody who called me last week, take your child out of that 500,000 naira a term primary school. Private. There are cheaper private schools. So you have to reassess so many things, is my point. And look for how to just bring them, because at this point, you cannot control increasing your turnover, but you can control reducing your cost.
Okay.
So reducing your costs should be your paramount, and the advice will vary from person to person in terms of what you need to do to reduce your cost.
Absolutely. So it's either you reduce cost or you increase
income.
Your income. Okay. Yeah. There's a question here and says, as a private school teacher on minimum wage, can you suggest ideas for side hustles? I need a fresh perspective, especially now that school is online.
Beautiful. You could, there are so many things you could do now online. You could start training children online. Parents can sign you up to start training their children in specific subjects. And you can do one-on-one online training. That can pay. For me as a teacher, if that's what you do, teaching is a very, very good way to keep making money outside of the school system. So lots of, and particularly, what we don't know, because I'm also a school governor here in the UK, and I know these things. One of the challenge, because that person, I'm not sure whether the person is in the UK or not, but one of the challenge all schools will face globally at the moment is a lot of children are going to struggle because almost 2 terms of syllabus would not have been properly taught because they are home. And what the government is saying, by September, they're all moving to the next year. So by the time they get to their next year, if you're in year 8 now, you move to year 9, you start doing year 9 work, but you've not really done year 8 work properly because 2 of the terms were home. So this is actually a time where private tutoring would be very, very desirable. This is a time where it will be a boom in parents trying to add that extra for their children to learn, to catch up, especially during this coming summer months. So it's a very good way to go. And that can be done online, one-on-one.
Wow. Oh, and that's just assuming that parents have the money to pay for private tutoring.
Well, some will do. Some will do. I mean, when it comes to children, parents, if they have to go naked to help their children, they do. It's one of those things most parents don't take lightly. So,
yeah.
So they will do what needs to be done to help, those children,
Okay, so there's this question on passion. Is it Okay, let me ask it deliberately. What are your thoughts on moving forward based on your passion or moving forward based on a need? So especially some Christians, people will say things like, I'm waiting on God to figure out what I need to do with my life. You know, I don't know what I need to do with my life yet. I don't know what, like, even during this COVID-19, what is God telling me to do during this COVID-19? And so they're waiting. I've talked to too many people, like, I'm just waiting to hear from God. And on the other hand, there's a school of thought that says whatever your hand finds to do.
Uh-oh, we've lost you again. I think I got the gist of your question. We can't hear you. Okay, she's frozen again.
Yeah, internet is gone again. The internet is
Yes,
gone.
and she's not in Nigeria. Can you imagine?
Can you hear me?
They just
it
said
me?
you're not in Nigeria.
Oh, man.
If I was in
I've
Nigeria,
sent some virus to you from
in
Nigeria.
Nigeria now, you guys will be abusing Nigeria. You see, it's not Nigeria.
Yeah. So
what was the last thing you heard?
well, I can't remember what you were asking. I think you were more or less saying about, you know, I think if I understand the concept of your question, it's about people saying they are waiting, you know, on God for, you know, instructions. Well, those people will wait forever, because I tell people God made lemon, but God doesn't make lemonade. You know, God made trees, but doesn't make the furniture you are sitting on. It is when we apply creativity to what He has created that we now bring multiple products out. So we're saying you are waiting for Him is of no use. Now, the question you're asking is about passion. You see, you need to be very realistic. There's a difference between your work and your job. Your work is what you are born to do. Your job is what you are trained to do.
Okay.
You see, you can be sacked from your job. You can never be sacked from your work.
Ooh,
that's why
good.
even if you go to the Bible, Jesus didn't say I have a job. He said I walk either to my, he said my father walk either to I walk. He didn't say he has a job. You see, jobs are what you do to put food on the table. Work is what you are born to do. Now, your fulfillment in life comes when your job and your work coincide into one. When we all start out in life, our work and our job are far apart. So you are doing certain things to pay the bills, that's just your job, but your passion might be something different. So you keep doing your job while you are preparing for your work. But over your lifetime, you are supposed to bring the two together so that your job and your work are one and the same thing. But the realization under this condition means you do whatever it takes to pay the bills. So even if it means doing a job, do whatever job for this season, but don't lose track of what your work is, what actually is your passion. You know, I mean, like I shared the other day with some group of people, I said, after the 1918 pandemic, you know, the West suffered, you know, badly. And by 1928, the economy was on the floor. And then we had what we call the Great Depression in the US, you know, where the economy was a big mess. But the research I was reading the other day was telling me that more millionaires were created during that Great Depression than at any other time in US history, up until that time. So, which meant what happened? It meant during that Great Depression, people, and the research actually showed, it said what made the difference was not people finding jobs, was people creating jobs. Entrepreneurial explosion. That's what led, you know, to America coming out of the Great Depression, not because more jobs were created by government or by anybody else. So this is actually the time for those who are entrepreneurs to let go, you know, to be creative. Online, like I said, is a leveler, is a new frontier where everybody, I mean, look, you are one-man business in your garage. This is a business with 30 staff. You both have websites. Nobody knows that. Nobody knows the difference. It's your website they're going to relate with. So it allows you to be as big as you can be online. So opportunities abound.
Wow.
Have we lost you again?
Can you hear me?
Okay, we can hear you now, yes. Your mic is muted, it's showing.
Okay, Dr. Marina, mic is muted. I think she's flattened out again.
Oh, okay. Well, I think for all of you who are Nigerians, you can see now that if Americans talk about Nigerians, just tell them that they're not any better.
I have a question, Mr. Charles, if you mind me asking.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, you talked about engaging in a multiple stream of income.
Yes.
Can we say, is it reasonable to invest outside your country of residence, like you're in UK and you invest in Nigeria? The rate is quite different, and the gap between the rates. So instead of investing in gold or trading in stock, can you invest in Africa, so to say?
Oh yes. I mean, investment in Africa. But my only advice is, if you're investing in Africa, especially a country like Nigeria, make sure you are planning for the long haul. By long haul, I mean think minimum 3 years.
Right.
Don't read, and the reason is because Nigeria doesn't have exchange rate stability.
Yeah.
And the challenge is, fine, you might get 12% or 15% return annually on your investment in Nigeria, or something even more. But by the time you are converting your money back to sterling to bring it back here, you've lost everything. You've lost all the profit, by the time you convert it. Because when you brought in your money, it was, say, 400 to 1. Now that you are trying to take it out, it's now 450. You need to buy sterling. So you need to bear that in mind. But if you plan that over, say, a 3-year period, yes, it will always, balance out one way or the other. So investing in Africa, in Nigeria, and other places, yes, it's you get better returns there. But don't think quick buck. Well, let me just go there, put some money there, 6 months later, bring it out. Don't think like that, because that's where you can get your fingers burnt. But if you think long term, then it's a good strategy.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
All right.
All right. Okay. Any more questions? And somebody said internet should not try itself.
Yeah, Mr. Charles, sorry, sorry to bother you again. You talked about learn how to reduce your tax legally.
Yes.
But as an employee employed by a company, is there any way you can do that?
Well, what you're trying to do, ask for tax. I'm not a tax advisor, but one thing I know.
If you do 1, 2, 3, if you do 1, 2, 3, 4, you're going to be okay.
Exactly. So, your tax is fixed. I understand that, but then, for example, again, it depends. For example, one of the ways you can use tax efficiently is, for example, you might want to increase, if, for example, you're in the UK, you might want to increase your voluntary contribution to your pension, for example.
All right.
Because that's tax deductible. And also, as you increase, government also, your employer will also, we add more. So there are all kinds of little tricks you can, play with to build wealth, but you are limited if you're an employee. Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
So, Dr. Moreno, are you with us, or virus has frozen you again? Okay, she's frozen again.
Oh my God.
Charles, can you see me?
Oh yes, I can see you. You know, I can see your picture. You are frozen.
Well, I'm frozen, but can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you now. Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. This has been interesting. I think it's because of financial constraints of the charter cable people, but I don't know. I don't know why this is going like that. But thank.
Okay. Can someone just tell her to type a thank you, and then we understand, because I don't think the video,
Oh my God.
you know.
Italia.
Yeah, well, you see now,
Only has this.
even MTN for Ikeja will do better than this. I don't know this American thing, you see.
No, it's not all American phones.
Oh, you guys are laughing. I just keep going in and out.
You are not representing us well.
I don't know why they.
Never happened at any of
I've heard you all through from Nigeria, and there's been no problem. I'm using MTN. So that's
MTN is better than what I have right now.
yes.
Let's all just.
She's
Okay.
frozen
She's gone
again.
again. She's gone again.
What the